Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be doing a little bit of a different video. I'll be doing the recent form line of what I basically think each team's recently what their form is currently like. So yeah, let's get straight into the video. So obviously it goes from 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 15, 16 to 18. So yeah, I'll start from bottom and work my way up to the top. So an 18th spot, I think quite clearly at the moment it's probably North. Yeah, nothing's going right for North Melbourne this season. They've managed to get one win, and then earlier today, their coach has stepped down. David Noble is no longer coaching, now interim coach and VFL coach of North Melbourne. Lee Adams will be coaching North Melbourne for the remaining 6 games of the season, and then we'll wait and see who they get. It could be Clarko, could be Mark McVeigh, but yeah, they've been really, really poor, and they've got no real depth this season, and it just haven't been very, very nice to watch. In 17th, I've been thinking about this a little bit, but I think I have to go with West Coast. Their recent form hasn't been too bad. It's just basically their start of the season really let them down, but basically I'm doing their form off like basically their last 5 games. Look, their past 5 games haven't been absolutely terrible. They just haven't been amazing. I mean, they challenged Richmond, they challenged Geelong, who are top 8 teams, but then they put up absolutely disgraceful performances against the Blues and also another team, can't quite remember, but West Coast, yeah, their form hasn't been quite good. 16th, this one could be a little bit of a controversial one, but I'm going to go with Adelaide. Their recent form hasn't been amazing. I mean, yes, they did get that big win over North Melbourne, but anyone can beat North Melbourne at the moment, unless you're Collingwood and nearly lose it. But obviously, Adelaide did manage to smash North Melbourne. They also managed to beat West Coast, and well, you look at their form, it doesn't look too bad, but it's not really amazing. I mean, they haven't really beaten anyone amazing. They did challenge Hawthorn, but at the time Hawthorn were lower than them in the ladder, so yeah, Adelaide have had a really shocking season, and I think 15th spot at the moment in terms of form-wise. I don't think this one is going to be too controversial if you really, really think about it, but I'm going to go with the GWS Giants. Now, there's many options that could be in 15th. There could be an Essendon, a Hawthorn, but I'm going to go with the Giants, mainly because I know their game style's changed, their players have changed, and the positioning's changed, and they do look a much better side under Mark McVeigh. But you saw last game against Port Adelaide, they showed no sign of wanting to win, really. Port Adelaide just wanted to win that game, and they ended up demolishing them in the end, and it was quite a dominant performance from them, and I think the Giants haven't really had the season they'd like. I don't think they're going to be a bottom 4 side at the end of the year, but that's where I have them in the form in terms of late. Especially, you look at the teams they've beaten West Coast, North and Hawthorn, who are probably coming in 14th, and it was at home in the rain. I mean, if it wasn't in the rain, it would have been closer, and if it wasn't at home, then I don't see GWS winning. So, yeah, the Giants have had a shocking season, especially after playing finals last season and actually beating one of the teams that could have won the flag last season. Number 14, I'm going to go with Hawthorn. Look, they've had a okay, I guess, season. I mean, it doesn't really show it in terms of their wins. I mean, they're 5 wins and like 10, 11 losses now, but basically they haven't really been that bad. I mean, there's been a clear change in what Hawthorn want to do. Their ball movement is definitely more aggressive, more corridor type play, and they've got good players that can really make it work. You got CJ in there. You got Sicily returning back from his ACL. He's been a big part of their I guess progression. And John Newcomb's been very, very good in the middle. Good young kid, and Richie Lewis has just been absolutely exceptional up forward. If he didn't get injured, then he would have been in the contention to win the Coleman medal, in my opinion. And yeah, Hawthorn, that just hasn't really been what they'd like in the second half of this season, but I reckon they'll get a couple more scalps from here and there. I mean, I think they've got North and I think they've got West Coast and North in the next 2 weeks, so we could see them jump up, and I reckon they'll probably finish 13th this season. Right now, in 13th low in terms of form, I'm going to go with Essendon. I know people could put them higher or lower. I think it's the West Coast loss that really had them low. I mean, it's pretty hard to lose to West Coast, but mind you, their form's been great. Beaten teams of Brisbane. I know they did have a lot of players out, but still pretty good win up at the Gabba. And Sydney and the Saints, who are all probably up here in terms of form. That's very, very good from the Bombers. They're having a decent little patch here, and they could continue it well and truly this week against the Suns. And if they find a couple more wins, then we could see them end off the season in 13th spot, which does make sense, and they do deserve it because of their recent form. In 12th, could be a bit of a controversial one, but I'm going to go with the Western Bulldogs. I know lots of people won't like me for doing this. I can't believe a grand final side that would probably be up here, really, in terms of form, is down here in 12th. And the Dogs do this all the time. They seem to play in the grand final, and then the next season they don't even play finals. And this is going to happen this year, I reckon. They've got too hard of a run home. They're maybe getting players back this week against St Kilda, but they're definitely not going to be able to win and much games. And their form's been off of late, and I think they've been worse than Port Adelaide and Gold Coast and St Kilda. I mean, 2 big losses in a row. You look at the teams they've won and demolished. Not really too big, all teams that are below them. So I think I'm going to have the Dogs in 12th. I don't think they're going to finish 12th this season. That's just their recent form. And in 11th, also a bit controversial, I'm going to go with St Kilda. You look at their recent form. Yeah, it was a good win over Carlton, but they've lost to Freo, they've lost to Brisbane, Sydney, Essendon. It's just been really, really hard for them ever since their bye. Yeah, not much to say about St Kilda. They've just been so good at the start of the season. Probably up here now. They're all the way down here. And I still reckon they could possibly play finals. But their form has to definitely get better. They're a little bit inconsistent at the moment. I don't think they got to get. They need percentage, so they just cannot afford to get smashed. And this week, this will be an interesting game, I reckon. St Kilda versus Bulldogs. One of these teams, the losers, probably not going to play finals and drop all the way to 12th if Port Adelaide and Gold Coast can both get wins. Coming at 10th, I'm going to put in Port Adelaide. Their form has been pretty good. I mean, the start of the season's going to cost them finals, well and truly now, and 0-5 start, really, really poor. But look at their recent weeks. I think they've only dropped like 1 game ever since. I think they're like 8-2 or something like that. They've only lost to the top teams at the moment, Port Adelaide, and they're putting up good performances away as well. I mean, it was a good performance against Freo, and definitely could have won the game, and could be a danger game for Melbourne this week up at CIO. In tough conditions, it'll be a fairly low-scoring one, but if they can win that, then who knows, they can maybe keep their finals chances alive and maybe even go up here in terms of form. I just think the other teams right now have better form. In 9th, another controversial one. I'm going to go Sydney. Just because, really, their recent form, they are so inconsistent. They're probably the most inconsistent side along with St Kilda. I mean, they've won big games, yes, but they've dropped games to Essendon. They really shouldn't be dropping those if they want to play finals, let alone top 4. I don't think they can get the top 4 now because they stuffed that up, and could be a couple of danger games heading for the Swans soon. I mean, I don't think they can beat Freo, so that could see them drop out of the 8 this week, and they're definitely in risk of doing so. Their form has just been inconsistent. I mean, it was a good win against the Dogs. It was a fairly comfortable win over the Saints. Probably should have won it by more in the end, and yeah, I definitely think they are just sitting outside of 8 in terms of form. In 8th, I'm going to go Gold Coast. Their form's been very, very good. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, that goal after the siren really, really showed their recent form. I don't think they're going to be a top 8 side, but right now they're playing top 8 footy. It's just a couple of games at the start of the season that's going to cost them, and just the teams that they have to play above them are probably just a little bit too strong to beat them. But they have shown good signs against Collingwood. They have beaten Carlton and they have beaten Sydney. They also managed to beat Richmond after the siren. They beat Freo. So they're right up there, the Suns, and they challenged Melbourne too. They've definitely got talent, the Suns. They've got a lot of recruits coming over to fill in Bing King, and they've been very, very good. Next one, in number 7, mainly just because of recent form, I'm going to go with Richmond. I don't think they'll finish 7th. I think they'll finish... Well, they could finish 6th, 7th, or 8th, really, from here, Richmond. And I think 8th maybe is a good position for them. They've been a good side this year, Richmond. Just a little bit shaky when it comes to close games this season. I mean, they've been really, really unlucky with close losses to the Swans. Well, I mean, they probably should have beaten Sydney, let's be real. That was a huge controversial call, and they didn't really get that right. And in the end, they didn't beat Gold Coast, unfortunately for them. And I can't quite remember who else they played in a thriller, but they probably should have won it as well. I think it was Geelong. Yeah, it was Geelong. It was a good comeback. It was a good try, but they just couldn't quite get it done in the end, Richmond, and that could cost them. Well, it's definitely going to cost them a top 4 spot from here, but maybe even cost them a position in the 8. I don't think so, though. They've got a lot of injuries. It's a bit of a deja vu type for Richmond, but I do think they've got enough depth in their list to make finals. Their form's been very, very good as well. 6, this one is mega controversial. I'm going to put Melbourne. That is massive. I mean, the grand finalist, your predictions for the reigning premier. I mean, the reigning premier, probably predictions to win again this season in 2022, but they've had a little bit of a form slump. I mean, you look at the teams. I mean, they've had that one good game, really, in their recent weeks to Brisbane. I mean, that was a very, very good win. Answered their critics, but they've lost to Freo, Sydney, Collingwood, and Geelong. Yeah, they're all going very, very well in terms of form-wise, but yeah, just a little bit of a hiccup for the Days at the moment. I mean, they bet Adelaide, but not very convincingly. I mean, they probably should have won it by more in the end, but they were a little bit shaky in the first 3 quarters. Christian Petracca was the only real reason why they won that game in the end. He was the only good one in the first 3 weeks and first 3 quarters, and yeah, I'm going to put them in 6th, I reckon. And 5th, this one also pretty controversial. I'm going to go with Carlton. That's where they sit on the ladder. Look, their recent form has been a bit weird as well. I mean, they've beaten Freo, they've beaten, no, they lost to Richmond, but that was a tough game for them with their injuries. They've absolutely demolished West Coast. They've shown that they can easily do that, and I think they've had a bit of a hiccup with their injuries, the Blues, but they're going to get some players back, and they're definitely shaping up for a good finals return and maybe even a top 4 position. 4th, I'm weighing it up here, but I'm going to go Brisbane. Probably just because of their recent 2 losses to Melbourne and Essendon. I mean, they weren't favourites to win in the Melbourne game, but still it was pretty bad. I tipped Brisbane to win that game. It's the only time I've tipped against Melbourne this season, and Melbourne just showed me why they're so good and can pull out amazing performances. Just haven't done it for a little while, and Brisbane definitely need an amazing performance. I mean, a loss to Essendon really hurt them, I reckon, with all those injuries and COVID protocols. Yeah, they just need to find a way to get some more wins, I reckon. Now, third, I think just because of, you look at the form sheet, amount of wins and losses in recent weeks, I'm going to go Freo. Fremantle in third for me. They've had some good wins. They've lost to Carlton. That was a pretty tough game at Marvel, though, for them. But it was a great win against St Kilda. A really good win at Marvel Stadium. Yeah, they've had some hiccups in recent weeks. But I still think their form's up there. You know, I know they've been inconsistent against Hawthorn. And, I mean, they did win the game. And same with Port Adelaide. Not very convincingly. But still, they're putting up massive scores. And I still think, even though they nearly lost those 2 games, they're still up there in terms of form. And in second, I'm sure this is the part you've all been waiting for. I think you all knew that these 2 teams were going to be at the top. But in second, I'm going to go Collingwood. Yes, I know, they've had an amazing season this season. A shock to everyone. I mean, 17th to 6th, what is it now? And that's a good 11 table climb. I mean, that's a massive for a first year of a rebuild. I mean, you can't really call this a rebuild because we've got so many young players that are so good. I mean, we've got Jack Ginnivan, Oliver Henry, you got Isaac Quainer, and so many different names there that can really, really lift us. And I think we've got one of the best sides in the comp at the moment. I don't think it's enough to push for top 4. I mean, we can definitely push for top 4. I don't think we'll get there, though. And, of course, number 1 is Geelong. Who would have guessed? They've been absolutely insane in recent weeks. And as much as I'd pain for me to say this, they could be now favourites to win the premiership, unfortunately. That's going to be a fun grand final to watch. Anyways, yeah, all their players are starting to come back from injury. I mean, Sean Higgins has still got a couple of weeks, but Selwood's been managed. He's come back into the side. Dangerfield's back from injury. Gary Rowan's finally feeling fit and healthy. I think their side is ready to win the flag, and this could be their last time they can really push for a flag as well. So I guess they kind of do deserve it, seeming all those years of failure. They pretty much deserve it. So yeah, there you go, guys. That's my video. Hope you enjoyed my little form ranking video there. I'm probably going to do a couple more tier lists in the future. But yeah, this is one, just a quick one, basically pretty brief about recent form in the competition. Hopefully the Pies can keep going up there, maybe even move to number 1 position. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.